Hello, welcome. It has been a while since I've done a crossover. Just wanted to do this one on a whim. Live. It is May 21st. Um, Malcolm X's birthday was on the 19th, so hope y'all enjoyed that. But I have a bit of a clip here that I wanted to play and I wanted to talk a bit about it. I thought this was something that was important. Of course, some of this that I'm going to talk about is also going to be in those journals coming up. Once again, if you're not aware, I am pending a divorce. Should be finalized hopefully by the end of this month. That's what I'm shooting for. June 1st is when that Star-Crossed Lovers series is supposed to start. That's when I kind of just talk about the implosion of that relationship, marriage, etc. Which technically lasted a year, but if I'm just being honest, it only really lasted like a few months. To be honest, the rest of it was technically just I can't even explain it. It was just me running around trying to, I don't know, just looking like a complete dumbass trying to solve things and figure things out. But I do want to talk about a clip. So again, this is the crossover. So let me jump right into this. Here we go.
Put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
So I made the fortunate or unfortunate decision to get married back in October 2021. Um, Now I have someone here. I've actually seen a couple of his other interviews. He's a divorce attorney. I'm pretty sure you guys have probably seen this person. His name is James Sexton. I've seen couple of his videos about a year or so ago, or whatever. But he talks about divorce, and that is actually something I do agree with JB on, where somebody should talk to a divorce attorney. Not only should you talk to a divorce attorney, I think you should talk to someone who's gone through a divorce. Because married people will lie to you. They will just lie to you and tell you everything's sunshine and roses, and he or she won't tell you all of their real thoughts, and then you'll figure out, come to find out, they get divorced, a year or so after. So married people will lie to you, but if you talk to somebody who's gone through a divorce, they'll tell you all the stuff, similar to how I'm kind of doing in my series. um Star-Crossed Lovers, it was kind of doomed from the beginning, to be honest. I was trying to force something that um I should have known better than to pursue. However, when you have someone that's being dishonest and trying to, be deceptive, I mean, eventually you're going to believe some of their lies. And it wasn't until I figured out that they were lying, that's when I realized, okay, that instinctual part of me was right. So my thing is kind of like hindsight 2020. While it was going on, I wasn't aware of everything um that was and wasn't a lie in my relationship. I talk about how I was feeling, and kind of that weird, kind of like, that don't sound right type feeling I would get from time to time. But let me go ahead and jump into this clip, because he's actually talking about something that I'm gonna kind of branch off from. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let this clip play. YouTube, fair use, fair use. I am reacting to this. Please don't um do what you did to some of my other broadcasts. They literally blocked some of my other broadcasts because of this. And now this thing wants to act like it's not loaded up. I don't know why this thing does this when I decide to do this. It's like it's playing, it's fine, and then all of a sudden it doesn't want to play. Probably because I'm sharing it. Let me see if I can lower the. Let's see if this helps. Because I don't know why it does this. I got more than enough space on my computer. I have a gigabyte of internet speed. Literally a gigabyte. So I'm like, I don't get why it only does this when I try to share. That's the weird thing. Oh, boy.
Preventative maintenance. I want to just drill down a little bit into what that actually looks like, because there'll be a lot of people right now including myself, who
look at this rationally, because I've got a 13-year-old dog. I got him when he was a puppy. Now he's 13. And like me, he's slowed down a lot. His back hurts. He's not quite the puppy he used to be. I have never once looked at that dog and gone, I got to get a puppy. This old dog, he didn't look as cute as he used to. And like, oh my God, have you seen how cute puppies are? Like, I would never. It's my dog, man. I fall more in love with that dog every single day, you know? And yeah, sure, puppies are cute and they're great and I'll pet them, but that's my dog, man. I wouldn't trade all the puppies in the world for that.
Now, it's interesting he's talking about this because a lot of single people today, which I don't understand why, but a lot of them actually have. Well, actually, I do understand what the psychology of it because a lot of them, that's is a psychological thing with that. But a lot of them, especially the females, have pets. I'm seeing guys too with them. So a lot of single guys, no family, not married, having pets, dogs, um, and it's kind of a bonding thing because we are social creatures, similar to rats, and other creatures on the planet. We socialize. That's our thing. But the thing is, when you're an individual where you just don't get along with people like that, um, most notably a spouse, which is someone that you tend to live with, outside of your parents and maybe siblings, they tend to get pets. And the thing about pets is they're not too far off from children, um, which I kind of did talk about that in a broadcast before, where women kind of treat the children like pets. Don't think I have that overlay here. But there's a reason why they do that, where it's like they kind of string them along because the pet has no choice. Just like the child has no choice when it's linked to the parent, most notably the mom, the child has nowhere to go. So in a way, if you think of someone that is narcissistic, imagine that you have someone that is literally doomed to love you. They literally can't leave your side, and you can essentially manipulate them as often or as much as you want to love you, which tends to happen. But I find this interesting what he's about to say here because it does relate to some things that I see happen with just certain individuals that you come in. I'm pretty sure you've seen it too with certain individuals you come into contact with. Um, I don't want to. They're kind of on par with negative Nancy's, but the individuals he's about to dive into are the people that always talk ill of their spouses. And I actually will branch off from that, and I'll also consider people that talk bad or ill of other people. So we all know someone or have known someone that does that, where it's like they always want to spill the dirt on somebody else. Like, oh my God, did you hear Brad had an STD or some shit like that? And it's like, okay, I didn't ask for that. Like, why do I care about that? Like, but they always want to be all up in somebody's business and tell their people's business. Most notably the negative stuff. There is a psychological reason for that as well. But it's like it's kind of like that. Oh, they're not so great. I'm better than them type thing. And I know they don't mean it like that, but that's actually where that comes from. You're kind of trashing somebody else. Like, I'm actually going to talk about a situation that happened pretty often in my relationship about this, but I'm gonna continue the clip.
That dog. Your partner, your romantic partner, like when did it become acceptable as it is in culture to just piss all over your partner? Like every guy, it's like I'm married to the most loathsome harpy ever to castrate a man. Like this one, the old ball and chain. And women, it's like the guy's like, oh, this idiot, like this just lovable idiot, like he doesn't know anything. He's so stupid. Men are so stupid. Like what do you think's going to come from that? Other than this disdain that we can then have for each other and this sort of disrespect, as opposed to being like so into each other, which is what you were when you.
So he did touch on that part right there, the disrespect part. Now, us men understand that part, the disrespect part. Women not so much, but us men understand the disrespect part. With women, it's more so the intention part. Like if you're ignoring your spouse, you're not playing grab ass with her like you used to. She'll notice that. But the disrespect part is where the men kind of like, okay, we get offended, mortally offended from that.
You were strangers, when you didn't know each other, all the same women sitting around in a group of women talking about how much their husbands suck. When their female friend goes, oh my God, I'm seeing this guy. I just started seeing him. What did he? Oh my God, he sounds so great. All this is your guy 5 years ago. But somehow now you're really going to buy the delusion that if it all works out with him and they get married and they do their little fairy tale thing and the cake and the dress and the whole thing, that in 5 years, she's still going to be like, he's so great. No, it's going to be, he's again, just like the rest of you. So we need to start as a culture, perhaps changing the way, because I think there is something about that where we're trying to not make people self-conscious. So we just take the piss out of our partner all the time in front of, people or around other people. And I don't find that charming.
Do you think that when we get to the lovable idiot, oh my God, happy wife, happy life, all that stuff, which is part of culture?
What the hell? Happy wife, whoever said that should just be beaten to death. Happy.
I do agree with that to an extent. It's actually, I thought it was I take it as a joke. I don't think that was that was literally meant to be what it is, that happy wife, happy life thing. I thought it was a joke that the men used with one another because, all men know that women are insatiable. So it's like especially the men of old, they knew how women were. So they didn't, you know, pull teeth about it. Like, yeah, like she's never gonna be truly happy. So like that's just how she is. So I always took it as a joke, that whole happy wife, happy life thing, because guys knew like, hey, if you can get the wife happy, your life's good. Because guys knew that their wives are essentially insatiable. Every time they do something, she'd kind of be happy, and then there's always something else. So I thought it was a joke. I never took it literally. But I guess some people today take it literally. But not me. But he was talking about that situation where it's like the people that I'm gonna branch out from it from more than what he was even saying, which is like it's not even just that. Like they're ragging their partner, they're shitting on their partner, which I never got that from people, because I'm like, and when I say I never got that, I mean like I don't do that. I've never done that myself. But like when people do that and they talk ill of their own partners, I'm like, you do realize this says something about you, right? Like that's why I don't, when especially women, they tend to do it a lot, where they shit on all women. You always shit on your ex-boyfriend. He was always abusive. He was always mean, controlling. It's kind of funny, but you hear the same stories, and guys who have dated a number of women, you have gotten that from a couple of them, if not all of them. Their ex was abusive and controlling, or some shit like that. It's always something like that. And they always say toxic is the number one word they use today. Toxic or abusive. That's the two they tend to say. Now she's not going to tell you the toxic abusive part that she portrayed in that, because it's usually mutual. But yeah, that's how that goes. But I never understood people who did that, because I'm like, you do realize like that says something about you. Like you talking shit about your partner, that says something about you, because that's your partner. That's someone you chose for your reasons. So in a way, it lets us know about your deficiencies, because if your partner is mean and this and that, well, why are you there tolerating it? Because all that really lets me know is something's wrong with you, and or that person that you're with was your best option, most likely because you share some qualities with them, which tends to be the point. So in a way, from what I've learned, a good deal of it is actually projection. So when they talk about controlling and mean, well, I'm sorry, but last time I checked, it's usually women that tend to go through their spouse's phones looking for cheating, and it's usually women accusing their spouses of cheating. I've been accused of cheating numerous times. I've never cheated. Ironically, of course, kind of find out it's 9 times out of 10 it's actually projection. So, fellas, if your spouse accuses you of cheating, you might want to hire a private detective, and hopefully you're not married. But 9 times out of 10, that actually means that she's cheating on you. So I just wanted to, in case you didn't know that, I just wanted to, set that out right there for you. Now, I branched out from this because it's also from the people that talk shit about other people. So you know who it is, the gossipers, the people that always talk and have something bad to say about somebody else's life. Oh my God, did you hear about what happened to Johnny down the street? You know, him and his wife got into it, and oh, I think he pushed her, and the cops like they always tell you the bad stuff going on in other people's lives. And I've never been the person to do that, yet alone the person to speak ill of my partner. Now, you're going to hear some negative stuff. You're going to hear some bad stuff coming out in my Star-Crossed Lover series, but that's because I have to. If you think about it, the fact that I haven't talked to people about all the bad stuff that's been going on in my relationship, that's why it was kind of odd how they were treating me, because they just assume, well, she was, I'm just going to have to say it. She was making me out to be and a controlling abuser and cheater, actually, too, by the way, which, funny story there. But remember what I said about projection. So she was making me out to be the cheater and the abuser and etc. So my own folks were kind of treating me kind of funny, and it wasn't until like I was like, okay, y'all really don't know what's going on, and I had to share certain information. Of course, not everything, of course, but like I had to share enough with them where they understood, okay, yeah, she's lying, and this is what's really going on. And that's kind of one of the things about when you're in a relationship. If you are in an abusive relationship, you don't want to isolate yourself too much. There is a thing where I don't speak ill of my partner, but the same thing about that, because I don't do that, people speak think more highly of her, which that is ideal. If she's my spouse, yes, I want you to think highly of my spouse. But the caveat to that is, if we're going through some shit and she's going on a campaign like women tend to do to try to shatter my character, I mean, I'm not going to do that, because that's just not me. But at the same time, I'm leaving myself handicapped, because now I'm being made to seem like I'm an asshole or I'm an abuser or whatever. Hell, to be honest, just me making these videos, people are going to think that I'm trying to dox somebody. I'm not trying to dox. I'm just talking about real life shit, stuff that I've gone through. Some of the stuff on this video, I haven't talked to, um, maybe outside of my therapist with some of it, but a good deal of the stuff you're going to hear in the Star-Crossed Lovers thing, I haven't talked to anybody about that. Especially the negative stuff. I haven't talked about. Now the positive stuff, of course. I'm going to give her praise. Um, I'm just as likely to give her praise as well as criticize. Absolutely. I'm no different on myself. As a matter of fact, I actually criticize myself much more than I praise myself, to be honest. But it's flipped with other people, because I understand that I treat myself differently, slightly differently, much more harshly than I do treat other people, because I know it's not great to be a complete asshole. I'm an asshole to myself. No, no and or for buts about it. Trust me. As mean as some people think that I am to them, oh no, 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 no. I am so much more of an asshole to myself. If they could only think, if they could like seriously, like some of the stuff that I think of myself and call myself, if they could understand it, it's like, oh wow, they just don't know how harsh I am with myself. So that's why, like, I don't, especially like when other people trying to criticize me, like I am my biggest critic. Like, there's no one that's gonna say some shit about me that's true that I haven't already said about myself. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's why I can brush shit off so easily. That's why shit doesn't bother me so much. I've been in situations where I've been called an asshole, by my spouse, and all types of names, and I wasn't offended because they called me that. I was actually more offended because of other reasons. Um, but I wasn't offended that they called me that, because they might have been true. I mean, I am a bit of an asshole. I can be, absolutely, but I tend to be an asshole to certain individuals. Mostly to people that are trying to deceive or exploit me. Absolutely, I am an asshole to those types of people. So, and I'm going to acknowledge that. Yes, I am. I am an asshole to those types of people. 100%. Now, in his situation, what James was talking about, um, and I never understood that. I've never done that myself. I have had that done to me, unfortunately, a couple of times, especially with my ex, the current, of course, soon to be ex-wife. She has thrown me under the bus a couple of times, unfortunately, to her friends and family. But like I said, like, okay, I've never done that myself. There's no one Like the last few years we've been together, there's not a soul like even my own brother. We'll talk about stuff, but I won't tell him specifically like the bad shit that's gone on, or some of the bad shit she's done or said to me and all that stuff. Like to this day, there's still some stuff that like in that star-crossed lovers thing, I'm going through my journals and I'm talking about the stuff, like just laying it all out, and it's more so for myself than anything, just because I'm kind of recalling everything. I'm going through everything myself. I'm going through the emotions of it. It's a self therapy type thing. I'm listening to myself. I'm understanding myself. That type of thing, because I haven't been able to do that. So, and it's always good to do that to kind of move on. So that's why it's like, some people, I don't get the whole people still messing with their exes shit. Like, no, I'm moving the fuck on. Like, I don't get how they be doing that. You know, living with their baby mamas and baby daddies and still having sex and all that shit. That's weird. That's weird to me. So we're done. We're done. So I'm doing this because I understand I'm moving the fuck on. But I just need, this is a way of like self therapy for me. That's why that series is coming out. So some of the negative stuff, and there is good stuff too, because I will not sit here and act like it was all bad. It was not all bad. Like I always, even in some of those broadcasts, I'll praise her for some of the stuff that drew me in. I was like, yes, I love that about her. Like this is why I got with her. This is why I fell in love with her. Like absolutely, I 1000%. I will not take anything from her. Absolutely not. I will have my criticisms. I will let them know, okay, this was where she mortally offended me. This is where things, went south. This is where there was a disagreement or misunderstanding and we just couldn't come together. A big part of it was communication. I talk about how she just ignored me and we never were able to communicate because she just shut down on me. And that really was the death of our relationship, was when she shut down on me. And I was just like, okay, this is, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't do anything after that. But of course, come to find out, she was doing like what he's saying, where she was talking ill about me. Of course, I wasn't supposed to find out, is texting and phone calls. Sometimes I'd overhear it. Um, she'd even doing on the, like, I had the home cameras, and every now and then, I'd get alerts weird times of night, and she's chit chatting with somebody, and there it is. She's talking shit about me. And there you go, right on the camera. So it was like, okay, I've never done that myself. And that lets me know there's some good parts about me. So I'm not as much of an asshole as people make me seem to be. Because I know for one thing, I've never done that myself. There's nobody that I can think of that can be like, oh my God, he talked shit about you to me. And I'm like, no, because that's not what I do. I'm not that type of person. Um, I was actually, ironically, I was at the chiropractor and I was reading Matthews. I think it was chapter 12, verses 6, 7, or chapter 6 and 7, the entire chapters. And it's pretty much, that's where that whole do unto others. Actually, the Lord's prayers is in chapter 6. And then chapter 7, that's when it was like, it's essentially to sum it all up. It was talking about do unto you as you would want others to do as you would want others to do to you, that type deal. And I was just reading that. I was in I don't know what drew me to that. Sometimes things are just coincidental, but earlier today I had a colonoscopy appointment, and it was a couple hours before that appointment I had my chiropractor appointment. And I just saw the Bible there, and I just like, I had some time, I was waiting, and I just picked up the Bible, and I just I flipped through the little table of contents, and I saw something. It was like, oh, golden rules, and I was like, oh, Matthews. Flip right to Matthews chapter 7. I read chapter 7 first. And I was like, okay, I recall this. Yeah, that I agree with that 100%. And then I've kind of reversed back and then read chapter 6. I was like, oh, okay, there's the Lord's Prayer. That's where that comes from. Okay. I read through that. And again, I'm not a religious person, but I've always upheld that the Bible is a book of wisdom. And I'm not gonna lie, when I read those two chapters, yes, I agreed 100% with, if not all of the words that were in those two chapters, 90% of the words. Some of the words were probably outdated. And, you have to kind of do a little research to kind of better understand the context of it. But yeah, those two chapters, um, Matthew's chapter 6 and 7. Yeah, that's how I live my life. Mind you, that was the first time I actually read those two chapters. From start to finish. in the book. And to be honest, ironically, I'm like, yeah, that's how I live my life. That doesn't mean I'm gonna, turn churchy and all that stuff. But no, I'm just saying, like, just like I've always known the Bible is a book of wisdom, like I live my life by certain standards that I've learned out of life, and it's just nice to know that every now and then you find teachings and learnings from people around you whom are better and more learned than yourself, and it's just like everything falls together like a perfect piece because it's like, oh, that's something I've always believed. And you hear somebody like Nietzsche, or some of the other psycho, great philosophers and psychologists in the past, and you're like, oh yeah, I've always thought that about people. I've always known that about people. You know, I've always, kind of sensed that when I talk this way or talk that way, and when I communicate with people. And it's just nice to know. I'm all about truth, and it's just nice to know how when things just come together, because the truth simply is, by in the words of Neely Fuller Jr., simply that which is. You can't make it up, you can't falsify it. It just is. And when you go through life, you experience it and you interpret it the right way. It's not too shocking to understand, like, people that are even more learnt than you, people that are intellectually on another level than you agree with their words because their words are synonymous with everything you've come to know in life. And with James Sexton, this clip that I just played, the same way, he was talking about this. He's like, and how people talk about their spouses and stuff. I've always thought that of people. Unfortunately, my spouse used to do it. Um, Ironically, she would do it with, like, certain family members, certain friends. If I would ever say anything negative about somebody, it was usually a teaching moment. It was usually like, okay, don't do this because that, because so and so did that, and we have to learn from it. It wasn't just out the blue. Oh my God, so and so, you know, got a DUI just out the blue for no reason. Like, I'm not gonna. I mean, that why? There's no point in that. There's no point in shitting on them or trying to bring up some shitty stuff about other people's relationship, which is what she tended to do all the time. She would always, tell me the bullshit going on in her friends' relationships. Now, mind you, her and I relationship we were always the how can I say it? I don't want to say the pinnacle, but I'll just say everyone else looked up to our relationship. Like, if we were to have a poll and they were like, who's most likely to get married and have, a successful relationship, I think it's fair to say me and her knew who our folks would point to. We both knew it, especially in her friend group. They all knew it. They point to her, and through her they meant her and I. So, and I'm not, trying to shit on anybody or nothing, but I'm just being honest. Like, yeah, like, that's what our relationship was. She'd always, big up me. She'd kind of tell me some of the I think she had one or two friends that was kind of jealous because she spent more time with, I think I talked about that in the video, because she spent more time with me than she was with them, and her friend was acting up, and I remember she was telling me about that back in college. It was like one or two of her friends, I believe, actually. Different times though. And I was just like, I mean, yeah, because you're in a good relationship, so why wouldn't you want to be around me? I mean, just saying. Now, I didn't say that, but I'm just like, I mean, I'm your man, and obviously, I'm doing something right to where you want to be around me. Like, yeah, that's good, but at the same time, it's not like she wasn't spending time. It's not like I was taking her from her friends. No, she was willingly just spending more time with me than them. So that, I was doing my job. And obviously that friend had a shitty ass relationship she was in. And I actually got to the point where, because she would always tell me about the bullshit going on in some of her friends' relationships and stuff. I'm like, oh, so and so got into this and so and so got into that, and cops are called and cheating and blah 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 and divorce and blah blah. And I'm just like, I remember a couple times where I told, like, she would do that kind of, just, I would never ask. she would always just, come out to it, talking about it. And I think she just wanted to talk about it. Of course, me being me, I would kind of be like, okay, well, if they want to solve that, I know how to solve that issue. And I remember um, a couple times where I told her what the solution was. I don't think she ever told her friends what the solution was, because their relationships eventually ended. Yes, I'm talking about multiple people. So she would tell me about somebody's issue in their relationship, and I'm like, oh, they should fix that. Here's how. Um, but I don't think she ever told them, because that's just how women are, unfortunately. She ain't gonna try and help you save your relationship. That's one of the funny things about women. But shout out to sisterhood. But I would I remember telling her one especially, I remember this especially one day. I just literally told her, she was telling me about some bullshit going on in so and so's relationship again, and I was just like, hey, yo, I don't want to hear shit more about that. Like, just don't talk to me about that again. And to be honest, if it's really that bad over there, I'd rather you just not deal with her either, because, that's just how it was. And straight up, that's pretty much what I said and did. I was just like, okay, it's one of those situations like, oh my God, let me tell you about what happened in so and so's relationship. And I remember that happened at least once for sure, because it was like a nonstop thing. And then the other times it was more so like, okay, I don't want to hear anything else about anybody else's, anything bad going on in somebody else's relationship. Like, if you have something good to say, tell me that. But I don't want to hear anything bad about their relationship. I don't want to hear about so and so getting into some domestic dispute, or somebody got an STD or something like that. Like, I don't want to hear that. And I remember, she would just tell me just dirt on other people, and I'm just like, why are you telling me this? Like, I didn't ask for it. I didn't want to know nothing. But I'm like, okay, thanks. I guess she just wanted to vent to somebody. I don't know if she wanted solutions, I would give them to her. But I'm just like, okay, okay. I don't I don't want to know that. But I never did the same. And now I'm thinking about it, it's like I never did that to her either. I mean, I never did it to anyone, to be honest. I've never spoken ill of any of my exes. Um, I'll talk about some stuff like I've gone through with them, but I've never like done that. Like, I've never spoken any ill of, or gossiped or anything like that with any of my exes. Um, to friends, family, siblings, nobody. Like, it just wasn't my place. I guess I could say it like that. Like, I was just like, yeah, that's just not something I do. And Robert. Actually, I think I was just listening to the Robert Greene 48 Laws of Power, Laws of Human Nature, actually, and he talks about people like that. And I think there's like a specific type of person, like the infector and stuff like that. It's a very good, you know, good read. It's also an audiobook. I got the audiobooks. I actually got the physical book, actually. I actually just ordered this special copy of the 48 Laws of Power. It's the physical copy. I'm actually holding it right now. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, a Juiced Eifers book. This is the special copy that they had on Amazon. It's like I think it's like the anniversary copy. The 25th anniversary. Yep. And it's got a couple of special notes and stuff from Robert Greene and the publisher in it. It's got some like fancy. Who is that? Is that Machiavelli? It's got like some fancy person going on. Pictures on the like when you close the book and you kind of hold it at an angle. It has someone's picture on it. I think I'm trying to think of whose picture that is. I want to say Machiavelli. I'm not sure, but it might be Machiavelli's picture that's on the edges of the picture. But like if you hold it straight, the edges of the paper is gold, but when you hold it at an angle, it has a picture. It's real cool. It's a nice. You can get it on Amazon. Uh, Price is like 100 something bucks, I think. It was worth it to me because it's definitely I added it to the library, of course. I got my own little library over here. But yeah, that's over there. But 48 Laws of Power, Laws of Human Nature. They talk about these type of individuals, and I've always stayed away from them. I kept them at arm's length. I'm not going to say I avoided them. It's nice to know dirt on certain people. It is. They're good for that. It's always good to have intel on folks. It's always good to have that because, somebody might be going through something and I don't technically know it. And they always be the one like, oh, did you hear so-and-so is getting divorced or some shit like that? Like I was at work. People didn't even know I was going through a divorce. Like nobody knew. Like nobody at all knew. Like they just knew I was married, but nobody knew that I was going through divorce the entire year I was separated. Nobody. I actually, told a couple of folks, just, talking to them, but it wasn't no big, I had already, went through all the stuff. It wasn't like a out the blue thing. And I was like, yeah, me and so-and-so getting divorced, blah, blah. It was kind of like a casual talk, to be honest. It wasn't like no big reveal or anything, but of course they would take it as a big reveal because, hey, you're going through a divorce. And everybody knows, divorce is doom for guys, especially today in today's society. I got my prenup. I'm prepared for the worst. I'm gonna say it like that. I'm prepared for the worst. So that's all I'm gonna say. But it wasn't because I had already had time to mourn over it and whatnot, and got my tears out and went through months of self-reflection and understanding of what was really going on, and got my little, I guess you could say, Sherlock on for a little bit and figured out even more, which let me know like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this definitely needs to end here. So I'm okay with it. I'm good with it. I have no regrets whatsoever about that situation. I mean, I have a regret for not following my gut instinct about it, but I have no regrets about the direction it's headed towards currently, because it needs to head that way, because I'm not going to be like some of these other folks out here, which actually James Sexton talks about that in this interview, on the Diary of a CEO. In this interview, he talks about he actually was asked a question. Let me see if I can actually pull it up. But he was actually asked a question by the host, and the host was pretty much like, "Hey, how much of the marriage actually ends in divorce and whatnot?" Hold on. And he was actually like 56% of the time it fails. 56% of the time marriages fail. That's just it, straight out the gate. And then the host asked another question, which was good. And on top of that, he layered it. He was like, 56% of the time is just, it leads to straight up divorce. It fails. And then he added on another 20% of that. And he said, there are the people that just stay in it for the kids or because of financial reasons, meaning they stay in the marriage. And if it weren't for whatever those reasons were, their marriage failed as well. They would get divorced too. It's just they had reasons to like, oh, they're just going to stay in that marriage. It's not it's no longer a happy marriage, by the way, but they're just going to stay in the marriage just because, they don't want to go through the proceedings of divorce. They want to stay in it for the kids, et cetera, et cetera. And he added another 20%, 20% on top of that. So essentially, and that's where that number, that 86% kind of comes from, because, 56%, it's close to that 86% that's in the title of the video. But, 56%, add on that 20%, you got 76%, where it's pretty much like 76% of the time it ends badly. And that includes the people that stay married in a bad marriage. That extra 20% he talks about. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Time someone sets foot in my office, something's gone terribly wrong in their life because no one ever meant to meet me. No one ever meant to be in my office ever.
What is the probability that someday I do meet somebody like you and not in this context?
Well, if you marry, there's about a 56% chance that your marriage will end in divorce. Now, that doesn't take into consideration how many people may consult with a divorce lawyer because they're having difficulty in their marriage, but they choose subsequent to meeting me not to divorce for some particular reason, whether
So that's the part I was talking about, but he's actually going to dive into that more. So meaning, just because the people stay married, and mind you, 56% straight to divorce court. That's just straight up. So he's not even factoring in. Now, mind you, that's 56% straight to the divorce court, regardless of whatever. The marriage will end in divorce, not because of natural causes or anything, just straight divorce. Of course, we tend to know that most of those end in 5 years, actually. But what he's talking about is out of that remaining 44%, now on top of that, the remaining 44% that stay married, it's not happily married because of the reasons he's talking about.
that's they don't want to part with half of their funds, or they've just decided it's easier to stay miserable and with a person, or they're staying together for the kids, but they want to know what their rights were. So if you marry, the chances of meeting someone like me are more likely than not, if we look at it that way, because it's more than 50%. So it's a high number,
But if we define failure as all of the other things you've described there, where we kind of stay together but we're miserable, or we stay together for some other reason, what percentage of marriages on that basis do you think actually fail?
I mean, if we consider failure staying together miserable for the children or staying together for financial economic reasons, and then we add that to the 56% that end in divorce, then I mean, it would be very hard to track that, but I think it's generous to think it's another 20% probably. But I mean, think about what that adds up to. That means that you've got something that fails 75% of the time. That's a negligent activity. That is more likely than not to cause significant harm in your life.
So that's the part I was talking about. And I think there is a place for marriage. People, especially, with social media and women today, guys tend to be more down to earth. Of course, the vast majority of not just marriages but breakups in general are led by the women. So it's the women and their insatiability, um, and their unrealistic expectations of what they're expecting, as well as the lack of accountability when it comes to divorce. Because let's just be real, in the majority of the divorces, it's not half her stuff that's being taken. Let's just be real. Um, so in the situation he's talking about, there is a reason, a place to get married. It's not the sunshine and rainbows people think it is. It's a structure. It's a system. If you want to have the kids with a specific woman, that's how you do it, because that's how we've seen that work, especially when it comes to, bloodlines and lineage. It makes it simpler for certain laws and stuff. But even though you can do the same outside of marriage, meaning if you're in a long-term relationship, there's ways to put things in trust and everything, wills and everything. So when you pass away, you leave something for her. You do not have to get married to do all that bullshit people talk about. That's why I like people talk about the whole benefit should have been in marriage. I'm like, there's a contract and legal ways to do all that shit outside of marriage. Like, just straight up, there is. Maybe the only other thing I can think of is putting somebody on your benefits. That's literally the only other thing, to be honest. And even then, it's just like, okay, somebody's gonna be able to leech off your benefits. So it's like, okay, you really want to do that. So that's really the only thing that I could think of that you can't really do with any of the other things, is if you want to be, especially if you're like military, something like that, and you want to put somebody on your insurance, your health insurance and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, in that situation, yeah, then they have to be like your spouse or something. And actually, to be honest, if I were to talk to a lawyer, I'm pretty sure there might actually be a way to get around that too. So yeah, more times than not, I'm not gonna lie. I strongly doubt that I will ever get married again. I strongly doubt it. To be honest, I can't even consider that I call this a marriage that I'm in currently. To be honest, 5, 6, 7, hell, 10 years from now, I doubt that I'll even claim it, to be honest. Like, if somebody were to ask me if I'd ever been married, I have to legally say yes. But if I'm just being honest, I'm like, technically no. So that's actually fair to say. Like, technically no, I've never had an actual marriage. There's never been a Mrs. Me. Now that I can actually say, there has never been a Mrs. Me, so that I can actually say. But yeah, so I'm gonna post these in the description. I haven't watched this entire video. The actual complete interview, the divorce expert, on the Diary of a CEO. I did watch the previous one, so I'm gonna post 1 and 2. But of course, they're all in the main one, which is like 2 hours long. I haven't seen the whole thing for that. Outside of that, I gotta get this divorce finalized, hopefully by the end of this month. And then June 1st, you're gonna see Star-Crossed Lovers. That's gonna be that coming out, where I'm gonna be talking about the things leading up to the divorce. I'm gonna go through my journals, going through the situations. Joseph Johnston. Oh, people. But to an extent, you're right. I do not have a wife. But I am going to end it here. As always, you know how it is. Thank you for watching. And this is just information I'm sharing here. So you already know what to do with that. Use it to your benefit. And of course, do your own research. Do your own digging. Go find out some shit. Leave it, you find some cool book or something like that. Hey, share it with me, please, by all means. Use the comment section.
Don't let me down, man. If you let me down, I don't know what I'd do.
All right. Good night, folks.